So going from having a boss to being your own boss, how do you keep yourself on track? Because I would imagine it's so easy to get sidetracked from you're used to punching in or being at a job, and then you're your own boss and this is ultimately up to you. How do you be your own taskmaster, so to speak? Like keep yourself on track and not check Facebook every 10 minutes or...
Yeah, keeping myself on track is definitely one of the challenges when I work for myself, partly because when you're working on a variety of films, you have films that are in release, so you're trying to promote those, then you want to develop new ideas, and then you also sometimes need to edit a film. You've got all these different things going on in any given moment because you've got multiple titles, and you're like, sometimes it's easy to shut down or get overwhelmed. So I just have one of those minds that puts pressure on myself and those around me. Like, sometimes I worry about my wife, who I work with on films now, because I'm constantly basically getting up in the mornings and just, a lot of times they're mental, but I'm putting together these lists of trying to make sure each day I'm, checking things off those lists. Sometimes they're, in spreadsheets and a little bit more like planned out. But it's very important for me to make sure that like every day I'm making some kind of progress. When I get a chance to travel and I'm in a place like LA or New York, I'm trying to set up as many meetings as I can, because you never know when a meeting might lead to an opportunity or might give you some new ideas or give you some opportunities. So I definitely have to put a lot of pressure though on myself because it's difficult. It's not like having a job where you walk in and you've got your day-to-day tasks and then you can kind of leave and go home. So at the same time, I'm also trying to figure out how to make sure I'm not overdoing things or wasting a lot of time on stuff that's not going to really pan out. So I'm trying to look at what I'm doing and constantly reevaluating and thinking about past projects and going, well, did that really work? I found that if I set up bigger sort of periods of time that are dedicated to one type of thing, that I'm more effective. So for example, Walter was essentially done and edit, ready for release, and we were trying to figure out exactly how we were going to roll out Walter. And I was sitting around feeling like I was not being very efficient because it was over the summer. I wasn't sure, when exactly we were going to release, and so we sat down with our team and said, okay, let's make a plan on when we're releasing, but let's also design a Kickstarter campaign, crowdfunding campaign that'll help make that release happen and really put our energy into that crowdfunding campaign. And so I remember that period of time where I felt inefficient. I felt like I really wasn't progressing, and once we sort of had a really good solid plan that would take over the next few months of our life and time, then it's like the ball started rolling. Other meetings started coming. New projects came in. There was like a certain sort of energy that was that came about, and of course it helped that our Kickstarter campaign was successful. Takes a lot of work, but that was ultimately a good example of how productivity was back in place. And after this phase, we've got another month or so of this phase. We'll get into sort of the holiday time. It'll slow down a little bit, and so we'll see sort of what the next plan. Maybe that'll be more of a development time where we write out some ideas and really focus on some things like that. But I like to kind of section off these little periods of the year or whatever to really focus on one aspect of a project.